I'm releasing this module as a free sample of the full lecture and practicum course, Tarot, Occultism, and Modern Witchcraft, which is offered through the Tarot Readers Academy. Links to enroll in the course provided in the description box.
For context, you'll see the full course syllabus on the screen. Prior to this module, we will have already covered definitions and considerations for exoteric psychology-based tarot versus esoteric psychic or occult-based tarot approaches. You would also have a tarot reading spread in progress laid out in front of you as we make our way through practicum number 1. We then take a hiatus from the practicum for this further discussion on mechanics. When it comes to interpreting the tarot through an occult lens, applying esoteric knowledge to the cards, there can be a chicken or the egg conundrum. So, for example, here you've got the card for key 20, Judgment, in the Tarot de Marseille, which predates the Golden Dawn, and then how the Golden Dawn interprets this card through its Kabbalistic framework. The angel in the card is Israfil, who in Islamic occult lore is known as the Burning One. He is the angel who sounds the trumpet on Judgment Day, or the Day of Resurrection. Israfil is significant in Kabbalism as practiced by the Golden Dawn. Take Aleister Crowley's Liber Israfil, subfigure 64, for instance. Fun side note there, by the way, there are 64 hexagrams in the I Ching, which symbolizes the eon, or conceived powers emanating from a supreme being, the full functional operations of the universe. Kind of reminds you of the name of Crowley's card for key 20, Eon, doesn't it? The purpose of Crowley's Liber Israfil is to invoke Tahuti, the Lord of Wisdom and Utterance, Lord of the Gates of the Universe. There is an association here made between the Archangel Israfil, Angel of Judgment, and Tahuti, who is described as having an ibis head and skin of emerald, and Nems, that's the Egyptian headdress, as the night sky blue. Now, check out the illustrations for key 20 in the Thoth deck, the Eon, which, by the way, elementally, Crowley associates with fire, as Israfil is the archangel known as the Burning One. So, circling back to the distinction between exoteric psychological readings of the cards and esoteric psychic readings, when there is a presumption of worlds we cannot experience through our 5 physical senses, such as interpreting the appearance of key 20 in a tarot reading as Archangel Israfil revealing himself before you to reveal a divine message, or using the keys of the tarot in magical ritual. That, I would say, is departing far from the realm of the exoteric and psychological. Crowley's Liber Israfil, for instance, is the script to a ceremonial magic ritual that happens to be numbered and subdivided into parts 0 to 21, or 22 total keys, with the lines prior to each number invoking an imagery of the key number following it. For instance, let's take what's on the screen. The script preceding line 17 or line 16 could be construed as making reference to the star card. I open the gates of bliss. I descend from the palace of the stars, O children of the earth. And then that last portion of the line, gather together in the hall of darkness. What does that sound like? Maybe key 18? I'd also like to ask you to study the moon card in the Thoth deck closer while reading through the lines of Liber Israfil, what he formerly called Liber Anubis. For those knowledgeable in Egyptian mythology, notice the pattern emerging in the imagery on key 18. Then we examine the recitations preceding line 19. Words against the son of night, voices of Tahuti in the universe in the presence of the eternal, formulas of knowledge becoming visible of matter, breaking forth the light, manifesting key 19, the sun. Now, I'm showing the cards from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck since that's most likely the deck those of you watching right now are going to be familiar with. Of course, studying Liber Israfil through Crowley's deck will reveal more cogently what he's trying to do here that I'm presenting to you as occult tarot. Speech in the silence, words against the son of night. I see that in the invisible or transparent outlines of the 12 zodiac signs around the periphery of the card, the voice of Tahuti in the universe. If you recall key 20, the eon, now let's use some digital manipulation to superimpose the two cards. Look at the screen and remember the sun card. The art style of the zodiac signs are the same as the center figure outline of Tahuti, the presence of the eternal, the wisdom of breath. And we see emanating from the heart, the focal point of the sun card, root of vibration, shaking of the invisible, rolling asunder the darkness from the previous card, the moon, becoming visible of matter, and so on, breaking forth of the light. So if we are examining the surface of the tarot card, reading through a psychology-based framework, let's just revisit key 20, a card classically associated with indicating an epiphany or rebirth, a reckoning. It suggests an accounting for things received or done, a time of appraisal about now having to account for your actions. You'd then apply that through an analytical process to connect these themes to a point in your life path and then self-examine the correlation. If you read with reversals, perhaps judgment reversed triggers a thought down a path of considering debts you still have left unpaid, obligations left unfulfilled, or past mistakes that are now finally catching up to you. An occult reading of Key 20 is about puncturing through the veil and entering unseen realms to see what is behind the physical manifestation. In Key 20, everything we said earlier through a psychological framework is manifested behind the veil as perhaps Tahuti, also known as the god Tot. Yeah, we pronounce the god Tot, and yet Crowley's tarot deck Thoth. Who knows? Tot is the Egyptian god of the moon, a lunar deity, god of wisdom and magic. In Greek mythology, Tot was identified with Hermes. Hermes Trismegistus, meaning Hermes in Trinity form, symbolizes the syncretism of Hermes and Tot, and is a grounding emblem in Hermetic philosophy in the early 19th and 20th century. We'll get more into occult tarot and Hermetic philosophy later in Module 3 when we talk about history, and then in Module 4 when we address Hermetic principles in the tarot head-on. Back to interpreting Key 20 in a tarot reading through an esoteric lens. Now, we're going to get into the practical applications of psychic reading beyond that veil in a later module, but for now, start thinking about it this way. You are reaching behind and beyond what you see on the card as if the card has layers, and you need to access a hidden layer beneath what's there. That, I would say, describes occult methodologies of tarot, at least to a degree. So when judgment, key 20, comes up, you're going to ask yourself, what can you hear that's behind the silence? If the illustration on the card of that angel is but a shell, what spirit, what entity has come in and entered the card, occupying, embodying that shell? Who now appears before you through the shell of that angel drawing? By the way, occult tarot is not all intuition. It's analytical too. Yeah, yes it is. It hinges on the breadth and depth and scope of your esoteric knowledge. Connect many different schools of esoteric thought and then draw correspondences. You have to reach beyond, then exercise creativity and ingenuity to trigger your psychic senses to reveal the message beneath. If you're a novice or just need a bit of help, an 18-page packet of correspondences is provided among your course materials. Correspondences, albeit analytical and can feel quite mechanical, is all about reaching behind and beyond. That's how we're defining esoteric tarot. It's feeling, sensing, intuiting spirit. It's invoking or evoking Inanna through the star, a Kitsune fox spirit in the moon, or the Diva Surya in the sun, a witch or shaman is someone who can reach behind, sense what is beyond the limitations of our 5 physical senses, and access the other side. If you have no idea what I'm doing there on the screen, that's the Chinese character for witch or shaman. Mastery over the exoteric applications of the tarot. Well, that's just studying the cards from maybe, I don't know, if you so please, holistic tarot. But if I have anything to say about it, if you care to consider my opinion at all, then here's what I would say. Without mastery over the exoteric, without dedicated effort at mechanical, analytical study, you will never reach the depths of your own potential at psychic reading. Analytical study of the tarot is the technology, the equipment, the gear that you need to truly deep dive down to the darkest depths of your own connection to the eon. We're now turning our attention back to the tarot spread you should still have laid out in front of you for practicum 1. Remember, there's still that 4th card to tackle. Now we're going to walk through one method of using the tarot in modern witchcraft.